Listen, no contact is powerful, but it's not everything. If you really want him to feel it, to remember you, you have to go further than just silence. This isn't about getting him back. This is about rising so high that he can't forget you, even if he wanted to. Let's talk about what that truly looks like, because starting today, you're not just unavailable. You're unforgettable. No contact isn't the end, it's the beginning. When someone walks away, crosses your boundaries, or shows you they're not capable of loving you the way you deserve, the usual advice is to go no contact. And yes, it works. Not because it's a trick, but because it breaks the pattern of emotional noise and lets you breathe again. But here's where many get it wrong. They think silence is the win. They assume blocking a number or unfollowing someone is the answer. It's not. No contact isn't revenge, it's a boundary for your healing. But if you stop there, you're still stuck with all that pain quietly sitting in your chest, hoping they notice your absence. That's not real power. That's still being tied emotionally to someone who already showed you they wouldn't truly show up for you. This is where the real shift starts. You don't need them to call. You don't need them to chase you. What you truly need is to sit with yourself long enough to ask why you gave so much of yourself to someone who didn't honor it. That takes more courage than silence ever could. Because no contact can be a shield, but without healing, it turns into a prison. A quiet one. A lonely one. And you deserve better. You deserve transformation. You deserve truth. You deserve to feel powerful in your own skin, without waiting for someone else to make you feel whole again. So yes, go no contact. That's the first move. It creates space. But it's what you do with that space that changes your life. Use that time to look closely at the patterns that got you to a place where your love was being poured into someone who didn't know how to hold it. Ask yourself, was I loving them or just chasing approval? Was I showing up for love or hoping to be picked? These aren't easy questions, but they're the ones that pull you out of that emotional loop you've been stuck in. Here's a truth many people avoid. A part of you hoped your silence would make them notice. You hoped the distance would make them miss you, change, and come back. That's natural. But if they didn't choose you when your heart was wide open, they're not going to suddenly value you just because you disappeared. They have to grow on their own. And you have to grow in a way that no longer waits for them to catch up. That is such a good point. Let it be the space where you remember who you are without them. Let it become the place where you start building the life you really want, not the one you were struggling to survive in. This isn't about punishing someone. This is about setting yourself free. Because the real end point isn't when they message you. The real moment of power is when you don't even care if they do. When your peace speaks louder than your longing. When your boundaries matter more than your old hopes. When you understand that walking away wasn't about making them regret. It was about finally seeing yourself. That's what going beyond no contact truly means. You're not just creating space, you're reclaiming your power. That's what this is actually about. When someone breaks your trust, ignores your value, or leaves you feeling unworthy, going silent might feel like you're taking control. But deep down, what you're really searching for isn't just distance. It's healing. It's the peace, the self-trust, and the inner strength that you lost while loving someone who didn't love you right. Your power wasn't stolen in one big moment. It was chipped away slowly. Every time you let something slide, every time you accepted crumbs, every time you dimmed your light to keep them comfortable. And now, you're not just trying to escape them, you're trying to return to yourself. No contact may give you quiet, but it doesn't automatically give you your strength back. Silence without meaning becomes passiveness. It becomes just another way of waiting. Waiting for them to see, waiting for them to care, waiting for answers that might never come. That's not true strength. That's still giving them your energy. Real change begins the moment you stop waiting. For apologies, for explanations, for closure. That moment is when you start pulling your power back. That's when everything starts to shift. Real strength doesn't look like revenge or control. It looks calm. It looks steady. It's waking up and realizing you don't need anyone else's approval to feel worthy. It's choosing peace over their presence. It's holding standards that don't bend just because you miss them. You can miss someone and still not let them back. You can love someone and still choose you. That's strength. And that's what you're really chasing. You don't need distance just to prove a point. You need it to silence the noise, to reconnect with your gut, that quiet voice inside that told you something was wrong long before you had the courage to face it. Strength comes from listening to that voice again, the one that whispered you deserve more, even when your heart wasn't ready to hear it. No contact clears the floor. Now it's time for you to step forward. Fill that space with actions that bring you back to life. Begin with the basics. How you talk to yourself, what thoughts you feed your mind, who you surround yourself with, what behaviors you tolerate, and what you believe about love and worth. These things aren't small. They're the building blocks of your power. And listen, it's okay if you feel weak. It's okay if you're crying, if you're tempted to text, if you feel like you're breaking. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're human. But every time you choose not to reach out, every time you write it out instead of dialing their number, every time you cry and breathe instead of chasing, you're slowly bringing your power back to yourself, one moment at a time. Rebuilding after emotional pain isn't about pretending you're fine. It's about truly healing the part of you that accepted less. It's about deciding fully and finally that you're never going back to that version of you. Because this version, the one rising from the hurt, from the silence, from self-abandonment, is becoming something stronger, wiser, and more powerful than she ever was before. The real glow-up, it's not just physical, it's mental. When we talk about moving forward or making someone regret losing us, people usually think of changing their looks. New clothes, new hair, a new body. The makeover. And sure, it feels good to feel good about how you look. But here's a deeper truth. If your inner world is still broken, nothing on the outside will fix it. You can change your appearance all you want, but if your confidence still depends on whether they're watching, you're still living for their validation, not your healing. The most unforgettable version of you isn't the one they see. It's the one who finally sees herself. The one who heals from the inside out. The one who feels her pain instead of running from it. That kind of change doesn't always get attention, but it's the kind that lasts. When you know your worth apart from someone else's opinion, when you stop measuring yourself by who stays and who goes, that's when you begin to truly shine. And no filter in the world can compete with that. The inner glow up means choosing peace over unhealthy patterns. It means stopping the habit of chasing people who are emotionally closed off, because deep down you are trying to earn love that should have been given freely. It means learning to pause, not react, to breathe, not beg. It's about rewriting your self-talk, shifting from why wasn't I enough to I was more than enough, they just weren't ready. That change, that's everything. Because if your self-worth is built on doubt and shame, nothing outside of you will ever feel like enough. You want to be remembered? Heal in a way they can feel but can't touch. Heal in a way that's quiet but undeniable, that shows in your decisions, in your energy, in the way you hold your boundaries. That kind of healing doesn't scream, it just exists. It shows when you stop reacting, when you stop checking your phone every minute, when you stop needing revenge. Because becoming someone who deeply respects herself, that's the real closure. You become unforgettable, not by being harder to get, but by being unshakable in who you are. There's something powerful about someone who's at peace, someone who isn't trying to prove anything, someone who's just focused on growing, living, evolving. That's what makes people remember you. Not because you vanished, but because you returned different, better, clearer, more whole. That kind of shift doesn't happen in a day. It happens in the quiet, in the choices you make when no one is watching, in the forgiveness you give yourself, in the decision to never leave yourself behind again. This isn't about making them see. It's about finally seeing yourself, becoming the kind of woman who walks into a room without shrinking, who doesn't question her instincts, who no longer begs for love or sacrifices her peace just to stay connected. That woman, she radiates. And once you become her, they'll notice. Not because you needed them to, but because the light you built inside yourself is too strong to ignore. Stop waiting to be seen. Start becoming unforgettable. That shift, It changes everything, because waiting is passive. It puts your healing in someone else's hands. It gives away your power. You don't need anyone to validate you to know you matter. You don't need closure from the person who hurt you in order to heal. The moment you switch from, "I hope he sees what he lost," to, "I'm becoming who I was always meant to be," you begin to take your life back. Here's the truth. People who can't love you right will always feel your absence. But that's not the same as valuing your presence. Just because they miss you doesn't mean they've changed. Just because they reach out doesn't mean they're able to give you the love you need. That's why you can't make becoming unforgettable about them. You do it for you. Because you're tired of shrinking. Because you're done proving, because you finally realized your worth never depended on their recognition. You don't become unforgettable by staying in their mind. You do it by freeing yourself from your own, from the overthinking, the what ifs, the questions about what you could have done differently. You become unforgettable by rebuilding your world, calm, clear, and full of purpose. That's how it begins. That's how you rise.